So I'm just going to pause, and I'm going to go from the title. Like it'll have like the title where it says like "The Problem" by A.R. Gurney, recorded on May 30th, 2020, and then it'll just do like this casual, like really tasteful crossfade to me being right here. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Saturday Scripts Live. So glad that you could join us this evening. We've got a doozy of a script for you tonight. It's a short one. It's a fun one, and it's got just this beautiful, fun take on this husband and wife relationship. The characters are called the husband and the wife. That is what we know about them. Beautiful play, fun play, lots of fun. And I'm looking forward to having a bit of a talk back afterwards. So feel free to stick around, and we're going to just geek out and talk about fun theater stuff because we don't get to do that much these days. So thank you very much for joining us for Saturday Scripts Live. Sorry, my computer desk.
So much for segues.
Segue. Apparently, we should be prepared to be in this kind of social distancing setup for like 2 years. Don't expect it to be just wrapped up and tied up really quickly. So don't make solutions with sticky tack. Like that one right there. Make a real solution. So a wonderful play for you tonight. The Problem, featuring Ms. Jen Taplin as the wife and Mr. Michael Dewick as the husband. Without any further ado, yes, and please join us this evening or afterwards for the talk back, where we'll geek out about all the cool theater things that we can talk about with this script. But without further ado, let us begin The Problem by A.R. Gurney. Setting: a simple set. Suggestion of a study. A leather chair with matching footstool. A reading light behind it. A coffee table with papers. The husband is sitting in the chair, feet up on the footstool, reading a book, taking notes in a notebook, comfortably propped on his knee. After a moment, the wife comes in from left, hugely pregnant. She stands looking at him. He continues to read.
Hey.
I'm reading, dear.
I know, but look at me.
I'm preparing for a class, dear.
I know, but just look, just take a gander.
She crosses to him, stands by his chair, and sticks out her stomach.
Oh. Well, well.
Yes.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes.
You look different.
Exactly.
Why haven't I noticed before?
Because I wear loose-fitting clothes.
That's true.
Clothes without waists.
That's true.
Large, shapeless nightgowns.
True enough.
So only now, tonight, does it seem to show.
I see. I've got to teach a class in an hour.
Oh, I know. And I've got to go out to choir practice.
So?
I just wanted to let you know so you could plan.
Yes. I will. I'll plan accordingly.
Oh, there's one thing, though. One small problem.
And what's that, dear?
I don't know whether you've thought about this or not,
State the problem. Then I'll tell you whether I've thought about it.
Well, it's a little tricky.
Well, we're married after all.
Yes, that's why it's a little tricky.
Perhaps, but that's also why you should feel free to speak out.
All right. You see, I'm not actually absolutely sure that this is yours.
That's the problem.
Yes, that's the problem.
I think I'll have to trust you on this one, dear.
Oh, that's so sweet of you, darling. But do I trust myself?
I think you should. So, there we are.
But
But what?
well, the thing is, how do I put this?
Speak frankly.
I'll try. The thing is that you and I haven't made love very much recently.
Is that true?
I think it is. Not very much. Not recently.
Define recently.
Well, 5 years, more or less, give or take a month or two.
Is that true?
I think it is.
Has it been that long?
Oh, yes.
Well. And so you mind, obviously.
Mind?
Mind that we haven't much recently.
Oh, no. I don't mind. Why should I mind?
Well then.
I'm just thinking of this. That's all.
I see.
You see?
Of course, I see the connection. Forgive me. I was thinking about my class.
I forgive you. You love your work.
Yes, but I'm with you now. I'm on your wavelength now.
Oh, good.
Yes. No, I understand now. What you're really saying is, now stop me if I'm wrong, but what you're really saying is that you think someone else might have impregnated you.
More or less, yes.
Oh, I see.
It's possible after all.
On these evenings that you... it is quite possible, yes.
Well, on these evenings that you have to go to teach.
Yes, when you go out to choir practice.
Yes, exactly.
But we do have a problem here, don't we?
Yes, we really do.
You know, darling, it occurs to me that I should have made love to you more.
Oh, no.
No, I'm kicking myself now.
Oh, don't.
I am. No, things would have been much simpler.
Oh, sweetheart, stop punishing yourself.
Well, why didn't I blast it all?
Darling, you have your work.
Oh, sure, but
You have your intellectual life.
Well, that's all very well, but...
And you had your book to finish.
Yes, but darling, that doesn't really answer the question. The question is, why haven't I made love to you in the past 5 years? That is the question.
Perhaps it was because you used to laugh too much.
Laugh?
Yes. In the old days, whenever we'd start to make love, you'd start to chuckle.
I did, didn't I? I remember now.
Yes, you'd chuckle.
Because the whole thing struck me as being slightly absurd. you think about it, I should learn to control myself. Hmm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. I was just as bad.
Did you chuckle?
No, actually, I'd cry.
I don't remember you crying.
Well, I'd whimper.
Yes. Yes, you would. You'd whimper.
Well, I felt so sad making love while all these horrible things are going on in the world.
Yes, so you'd whimper. I remember now.
AIDS, starvation in Africa, unemployment in Singapore, COVID-19, all that. I felt so guilty.
And I felt so absurd.
Yes, you chuckling, me whimpering.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
And so it wasn't very conducive.
Right. So we gave it up. That answers that.
But now there's this.
Keep it.
What?
Keep it, have it, bring it home.
Oh, darling.
Give it my name, consider me its father.
Oh, sweetheart.
I've let you down. Now I'll make it up. Keep it.
But I'm partly to blame.
But I'm the man.
You certainly are. You certainly are the man.
And now I'm afraid that I must prepare for my class.
Yes, and I've got to go to my practice.
But you're not satisfied.
Oh, I am. I am.
Darling, we've been married 10 years. You are not satisfied.
You've got a class.
My wife comes first. Come on, what's the problem now?
I'm embarrassed to even bring it up.
Come on, out with it. Tell me.
All right. What if this turns out to have red hair?
Red?
Red, dark or light, depending on how the chromosomes line up. You see? You see the problem? I mean, can you still act as its father if it has red hair?
Yes, well, that puts a different complexion on things.
Funny.
That's a horse of a different color.
Now cut it out. You're awful. Try to be serious.
Red, eh?
I should have told you before.
No, I should have assumed it.
It just slipped my mind, I guess.
I'm glad it did.
Yes, but it's still a problem.
Well, in this case, yes. I'd say so. So you must let me think it out.
But your class.
No, I'll just be less prepared than I like to be, which may be good, which may be very good, which may make things more lively and spontaneous. So let me think about this other problem. I could still adopt it.
How?
We could tell the world that you had a blue baby which died, and then we could bring home the red one, which we say we adopted.
That sounds awfully complicated.
I know.
Besides, the real father might object. He might take pride in it himself.
Need he know?
Oh, yes, because he'll see it after all.
You mean he'll continue to come around?
Oh, yes, after I'm home from the hospital and capable of sexual intercourse again.
I see.
So that scratches that adopting idea.
Yes, it does.
But you have your class.
No. Now, wait a minute. Sweetheart, I'm going to be honest with you. Sit down.
I can't sit down. Your feet are there.
I'll remove my feet then. Now sit down.
All right. I'll sit down.
Now don't look at me. Face forward, because this is going to be hard for me to tell and hard for you to hear.
All right. I won't look at you.
And if I'm inarticulate about this, you must try to understand that this is a difficult thing for a man to tell his wife. I'm only doing it, I'm only telling you, because it seems to be the only way to solve this problem.
Yes. This problem.
Now try not to interrupt, darling, unless you have to, unless you're unclear about anything. Save your remarks and comments for the end, all right?
I'll try.
All right. Now, to begin with, I've been lying to you this evening.
Lying?
Shh. Lying. I don't have a class tonight. I've never had a class at night. I don't believe in evening classes. All these years I've been lying. The class that I've told you meets at night actually meets on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m.
I see.
You may well ask, therefore, where I go on these nights when I say I have classes.
Yeah.
And that is what is so difficult to tell you. The fact is, I don't leave this house. Not really. Oh, I leave by the front door, all right, but I immediately go round to the back and into the garage.
I see.
Now, what do I do in the garage? You're probably asking yourself that. What do I do in the garage? Don't look at me, darling! Here's what I do in the garage. I make my way to a small space behind those piled up boxes, and in that small space I have hidden certain things. What have I hidden? I'll tell you. Some theatrical makeup, a red wig, a complete change of clothes, and a small mirror. That's what I have hidden in the garage.
Behind the piled up boxes. I see.
Yes, you see, my darling, or you're beginning to. When I go into the garage, I hang the mirror on a nail, I strip myself to the buff, I cover myself head to toe with that makeup, I glue on that red wig, I put on the clothes, I leave the garage, I go to the front door, ring the bell, and reappear to you. So you see, my poor darling, I am your red-headed visitor, and have all along. Yes, me.
But, well...
But what? I know it sounds unbelievable. Remember how you always lower the lights. Remember also that I was a good actor in high school. Somehow I was able to pass. I've deceived you for these past years, deceived my own wife, disguising myself as a red-haired stranger.
But why?
Because I wanted to make love to you. And somehow this seems to be the only way I could do it. You'll have to admit it worked.
Oh, yes, it worked.
And out of all this, a child will be born. And I am his father, after all.
I'm somewhat stunned by all of this.
I know you are, darling. Try to understand it while I'm gone.
Gone?
I'm going out to the garage now.
To put on your costume?
No, to burn it.
Burn it?
Yes, it's all over now because you know. The mask is off. Any attempt to wear it again would be foolish. I'd be nothing but a self-conscious amateur. our love life would be as absurd as it was before I found this way around it. So I'm going to destroy my role. And when I come back, I want you gone.
Gone?
You must leave me now.
No.
You must. Oh, my darling, this urge to love you is still in me. I don't know what devious form it will take next. Take the child and go.
Never.
Please, listen, I don't know what I'll think of next in the garage. I've got the Kama Sutra there. And a complete Marquis de Sade. I'll reread them both, looking for increasingly complicated sexual fantasies. I may reappear with a whip, wearing riding boots, or dressed as a woman. Get out, darling. Run to the suburbs. Give my child a normal home. Go!
Normal? Normal? What is normal?
You're normal, my love.
Me? Oh, how little you know. Sit down. I too have a tale to tell.
Nothing you could say could keep me from you, I swear.
Down.
All right.
I've known all along that you were my red-headed lover.
You've known.
From the beginning.
But how?
5 years ago, when you announced to me that you had scheduled some evening classes, I became suspicious. And so when you left for the first class, I followed you.
You followed me?
Yes, I followed my own husband. Followed you to that tacky little theater supply shop downtown where you bought your disguise. Followed you back here. Followed you into the garage. Hid behind the door. Watched you change into your poor, pathetic imitation of a red-headed vagabond.
You spied on me?
Yes, I spied on you, my darling. Furtively, suspiciously, like a jealous wife. But when I saw what you were doing, when I understood that you were doing it for me, my heart went out to you. With a great rush of longing, I dashed back inside, eager to receive you, but at the same time terrified that you would see that I recognized you. Frantically, I dimmed the lights to make things easier for the both of us.
I thought it was because you were romantic.
I know you did, my darling, and I let you think that. But no, it was simply so I wouldn't give myself away.
You were acting this whole time.
Yes, wasn't I good? Pretending that you were someone new and strange. I'm no actress, but I improvised like a professional during that whole scene.
It's hard to believe. You just seem so excited.
I was terribly excited, I'll admit it. That strange, sly courtship, the banter, the give and take with all those peculiar overtones. I threw myself into it with a vengeance. But then, when you carried me into the bedroom, everything changed.
What do you mean? I was a tiger.
You were, darling. You were a tiger. But I wasn't.
You said you loved me.
I was only pretending. I really hated it.
Hated it?
Hated myself. It was awful. I felt so guilty. All my old sexual agonies seemed to be magnified by a gallery of mirrors. I wanted at least to whimper, as I did normally with you, when you were you, but now you weren't you. I had to stifle my own sighs. Worse, I had to pretend, to play, to fake the whole experience. And all the time I felt like a thing, an object, a creature without a soul. And when you finally left, I just lay on the bed, arms folded across my breast like a stone carving on my own tomb. It took every ounce of energy I could muster to rise and greet you at the door when you returned from your supposed class.
So, for the past 5 years, you have been through hell.
No. After that first ghastly evening, I suffered nothing.
You mean you grew grew accustomed to the...
I mean, I wasn't there.
You weren't there?
No, I left the house right after you went into the garage.
But then who was here with me?
I got a substitute.
I see.
Oh, darling, try to understand. I simply could not endure another evening like that. The shame, the pretense, it revolted me. And yet I knew how much it meant to you. All the next day I racked my brain, trying to figure out something that would satisfy us both. I took a long walk. I wandered all over town. Finally, about an hour before I was due home, I saw a woman who looked a little like me. Same hair, same height, roughly the same age. It was at least a chance. Before I knew what I was doing, I approached her and asked her whether she'd like to sleep with a stranger. She was a prostitute, and naturally she said she would. So, for the past 5 years, the woman that has come here while you were in the garage changing your clothes in the dim light, she has pretended to be me.
I see.
You hate me very much.
No. No, I don't hate you. But I must say I'm somewhat surprised.
I suspected you would be.
But what about that?
Ah, this.
Yes, that. Whose is that?
Now, bear with me, darling. On these nights while you were in the garage and while that woman was preparing herself for your return, I go off with a real redhead. There it is, in a nutshell. His Pajero pulls up quietly in front, he flashes his lights, and I sneak out and drive off with him into the jungle. There, on an old rug, attacked by mosquitoes, we make love in a clearing. Love, which felt good for the first time in my life.
I see. And so he is the father of that?
No.
No?
Somehow, even that wasn't enough. Somehow, with all those jungle sounds pulsing around me, all my sexual frustration, all my repressed anger, it wasn't enough. So I betrayed my lover for his friend, and his friend for another, and so on and so forth, with Europeans, with Bangladeshis, with Vietnamese, even Thais. Oh, darling, for the past 5 years, I've been offering myself as a willing sacrifice by anyone who wanted me.
And so the father is...
I really don't have a clue.
I see.
And now you'll leave me, won't you?
Me? Leave you now? I want to stay more than ever. What would you say if I said that everything you've told me excites me?
Excites you?
Sets my blood boiling, gives me strange, wild, lustful desires. What would you say if I said that your jungle experiences have lit a lurid light in my loins?
Really?
What would you say if I said that I suddenly want to exercise, how shall I put it, my husbandly rights? That I want to steal you from your lovers and carry you into my bedroom and ravage you with the reading lights going full blaze? What would you say if I said that?
I'd say do it.
Hmm.
And let me add this. Let me add that a woman is also capable of weird desires. Looking at you now, slouched in that chair, surrounded by your books and papers, I suddenly have the strange urge to experience the stale comforts of married love. They say that after eating at a banquet with all its rich food, one yearns for a simple meal of plain rice. So it is with me, for you, tonight.
Then...
But there's still this problem.
Well, that's no problem.
No problem.
That's just the premise to the problem. Now we've solved the problem. We no longer need the premise.
I fail to follow.
That's just the starting mechanism. Now the motor's going. We no longer need the starter.
Oh.
That's not really a baby you have in there.
really a baby?
No. That's a balloon you have in there.
A balloon?
A balloon, or an old beach ball, or a watermelon.
It's a baby, I'm practically positive.
No, look. I'll show you. Ha! Touche! Ha ha! You see, the problem was simply academic!
Aren't we awful?
You started it.
I know. It was my turn. You started the last one.
Well, it's fun.
Shouldn't we see a psychiatrist?
Why? We're happy.
But we're so depraved. Why?
He looks at her, then throws back his head and gives a long Tarzan-like whoop, then pounds his chest like a gorilla. She giggles.
Quiet, you'll wake the children.
He picks her up in his arms. She pummels him melodramatically, speaks in an English accent.
No, Tarzan, white men do not take women by force.
Hmm.
No, Tarzan, white men court their women. They are civilized, Tarzan. It's very complicated. Do you understand what I'm saying? Complicated. Complicated.
He giggles and kicks as he carries her off left. Blackout. End of play. Jen Taplin, Michael Dewitt, thank you so much for what a fun script. What makes this script so fun? Obviously you two are having a blast reading it. What helps this play stand out from other ones? What makes it such a fun romp?
Oh, well. Don't put me on the spot now.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think it's really fun, the banter that goes back and forth. At the beginning, it seems very serious and
very problematic.
But yeah, very dramatic. And they're like, wow, is this really happening? And then at the end, you're just like, oh, yeah, okay. And you just have fun with it. I think it's a really fun play to play with, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it mixes comedy of errors with just, mistaken identity. I mean, Alan, you and I were in a play somewhat similar in terms of that sort of humor. I mean, not that this was mistaken identity. Clearly, they were playing roles, and I mean, it's just all the twists. I mean, it's just clever writing all the way to the end. I mean, if people are still with us, I mean, great. You probably think of these people are just awful, amoral people. Of course, they're joking the silliest things, and yet they're just, a husband and wife who just love.
Married for 10 years with children.
Yeah,
that's great.
A little spice, right?
Well, that's first.
Nice. I think that was another thing. Like, it's such surprisingly, for all the twists and turns that there are. Like, I mean, it's an easy read. Like, it's just good, simple dialogue that doesn't have to be complicated to convey all these misunderstandings or the turns that they're taking the audience. So for me, it just exhibits the best, even like this, like a radio drama or radio play. Like, this is just classic, like Pythonian, like Monty Python type sketch or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones that's it's quite easy to convey over Zoom, as opposed to having to be physically there, because it's not really a physical comedy other than the whole belly thing. But even just going like this, it's like there's a belly down here or something. Well,
look at that balloon. I mean, this is high tech. It's great.
Oh yeah, and I think part of the charm is how, especially for that first segment, how sedate, like the audience is following along, they're tracking. But wait, but what? Wait. So wait, if my understanding is right, maybe I missed something, but if my understanding is right, something's weird here. Oh, that's where the humor is that you should be responding differently. You're not responding the way I expect. Yeah.
Right. I think I like I think somewhat in that same vein, like they're seemingly so boring, bland people at the beginning, like emotionless, probably both of them academics, who knows, they just have, you think you've already figured them out, of course. I mean, that's the twists and turns. And yet what I find fascinating, I'm like, what if this was like a real couple? At what point did we enter into this scene? Had they already decided on characters? Did they have like a start moment? Was it just totally wonderful and spontaneous and they just totally went with it, which it seemed that they did as they went through. And they're like, oh, you're going to go here? Then I'm going to go here. It's the perfect rule of improv, right? Yes, just take it and go, enjoy each other, be in that moment. And I mean, regardless of what, you know, your styles and ways of expressing it, in a lot of ways, this is a great marriage in that sense. Wouldn't you want to have that same love and freedom and security and acceptance with your partner?
And the excitement, right? It's exciting to think of, you know, ooh, you know, I'm the other man, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and to have that playfulness, right? It's so that can be something really hard to maintain over a relationship when you're when you're established.
yes,
just to be able to introduce that.
it breaks up the routine, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially in the current day that we're in, where we're all home together.
Let's make something up about it.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that you know, a challenge, because there are going to be people who are going to thrive in their relationships and, you know, really embrace this season. It'll really work well for them in terms of togetherness, and for other people it could be really, really tough. And you're going to have to be, hopefully, I mean, we always hope the best for all these scenarios, but you're going to have to be intentional and very thoughtful about how you share your space. And that's whether it's a husband and wife or living partners, children in the mix. You're going to have to be with your family the whole time. Yeah,
totally. So when I first saw this play, it was a different variation on this play because the play, she didn't talk about the child being a redhead.
Oh.
She talked about the child being black.
Ah.
Right. So then the husband, and that's why I noticed they left in one little tell
the part with the different cultures.
Or even before that, how he takes off all of his clothes and covers himself in theatric makeup.
Oh,
that was I was all in that. I'm like, yeah, he's painting himself.
He's painting himself whiter because redheads are whiter. Okay.
Painting on freckles. So it just made me think, like, I'm always one for erring on the side of caution. I think there's a place to be provocative in theater. I think there's a place to push boundaries. But yeah, where do we find that line? And so I was very okay with where this play adapted so as to not cross lines that they shouldn't be crossing. But like, and Michael, it's funny that you mentioned, because Lend Me a Tenor, it was the same thing where a character, not out of like that one track of historicity behind blackface is one that is very degrading and offensive. But yeah, it's interesting how we've transposed that practice onto the other practices that don't have the same roots in that, out of a sense of caution, right? Because that was the play that we did right before the province shut down with Lend Me a Tenor, where originally he was supposed to be playing, you know, Othello, a black character on stage, but your character then didn't, or then it got changed to Pagliacci, which is just a different character for your character to play, just out of those kind of cultural sensitivities. Like, what is there a time to not make that cautious call, or is that just something that we say, no, that's something that is behind us because it's too expensive? How do we interact with that kind of, I don't know if censorship is the right word, but
it's just like when we did Of Mice and Men. I was very uncomfortable with that script.
Right.
Well, not the entire script, but just the parts where they had to use the N-word. It made me very uncomfortable because I know the reason why we shouldn't say that, why we're not, that's not our word to say, right? But it is part of the period, and it was kept in, and it's still, but it's tough because this play itself doesn't actually denote a time, right? It could happen at any time.
Right. Yeah. Very much.
Right? It could have been in the, in the 40s or something,
There's
like it
that one
doesn't.
line about COVID-19, right?
What's that?
There's that one
Minus
line.
the line about COVID-19. Yeah. Threw that in there. But it was
There's
applicable.
a few thoughts that I have about this too, jumping off of what Jen said. I mean, it depends on your motive. So I mean, there's two thoughts here. One being, and I'll use this example. I think a lot of people know this. If you've recently watched any of the like collected Looney Tunes like DVD sets or something like that, they're just very smart. Disney's kind of done this too. They got a little bit late on the bandwagon, but I mean, there's always a little placard, a little title card right before a lot of these cartoon shorts in case there is some sort of racial stereotype that's presented or something like that, where they just say this cartoon was made at a time where this was acceptable and socially in vogue, whatever. This doesn't mean that it's acceptable today. We don't seek to perpetuate these things, but it would be worse if we claimed that it didn't happen. We want to be able to claim it so that we can say it's not right. This is to ignore it would be a much greater disservice because we're not going to learn from our past then, right? And I think that's a very sensitive way of going about it when there is a historical component to that. Of Mice and Men, I think would fall under that character or in that vein as well. But then when you think of Alan, Lend Me a Tenor or something like this, where there is no particular, it's just meant for comedic flair. Right. And you would say, okay, so what if you wrote a script where really the whole thing was hinging on that, and that made all the comedy happen. If you took that element out, the racial stuff, it would just tear that script apart. It would fall apart. Would you say, but the comedy is still so good, and there's just really good things about it, so we're just going to do it. I've been one to say that. Or at least I think that in my head. I'm like, we'll be able to get around it. We know enough history to make that happen. And yet when I think about somebody who sexually harasses another person, whenever you hear of the politician that keeps on making lewd jokes to one of his female staffers or something like that, and the excuse always is, well, whatever, I'm just making a joke, like it's, I'm not trying to be insensitive. Regardless of the person's intentions, and they may be a well, fine, and good individual, if that is the case, then intentions really don't matter. If that is making somebody uncomfortable, then I would say, if I were in that position, I would ask myself, how selfish do I need to be that I feel like I need to keep those jokes happening? Is that the only way that I can express myself? Do I need to have that at the expense of what you feel, or whoever is the one that's feeling uncomfortable? And in this case, I would say, you know what? I'm sorry that the script just doesn't work. Yeah. You know what? That's going to be a casualty. We can't have everything that we want, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of hurting somebody, even if my intentions were good. So I would hope that there is a space for that kind of sensitivity.
Yeah, exactly.
I now understand the line about the light or the dark. And I'm like, what do you mean by light redheaded or dark redheaded? That doesn't make any sense. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Aha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I get that. I didn't realize that.
It's meant to feel. This is meant to be an intellectual script. You're supposed to think about it. Think
yeah, apparently.
Yeah, like intentionality, like. Yeah, and it doesn't help that we are three white people talking about the topic, right?
Very true.
Totally not helping. and yet, not because we need to go in and save, but save anybody, because we don't necessarily share the same experience, but everybody needs to speak up about stuff. We all need to call out injustices. We all need to call out anything that isn't going right, not again to save, but to lead, to show example, to make sure that we are not going to perpetuate anything further, because we're so culpable in so many ways for a lot of the things that have gone on, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like even today, someone in my feed, they just posted a petition because some Catholic school was going to celebrate Pride Month, and this was a petition to stop them from celebrating Pride Month. And I'm just like, oh, I don't want to engage in this. I just want to let it go, but I can't just let it go. I do have to speak up. And I would love to just send a one-off message, just to do one-on-one, but I can't do this one-on-one because you've posted in a public sphere. I have a responsibility to speak up and say, you know what, there's another take on this issue. Anyone who's engaging in this issue, you need to know that it isn't just smile, nod, and I guess it's fine kind of thing. Like, no, we have to, I have to speak up, right? Just because it's a public sphere and I need to be responsible and I need to be, it wouldn't be moral integrity if I just kind of let it slide. And and so I did. And then they sent me a private message saying things, and I just gave them a long explanation as to why I did that. And no, I won't stop because these voices need to be heard. We need to be able to say these things.
Yeah, it's true.
And to have people make a hopefully wise and judicious assessment as to what the best places are to let various opinions be heard, to communicate. This is something I say all the time. I mean, rarely in life are things black and white. And if you have something that you feel needing to call out and that you want to lend a voice to, you feel a need to lend a voice to, it's unfortunately very tough in this world to communicate nuance for anything and to be able to say, okay, let's have a discussion here. I think some things are very important to be very firm and not to be condemning necessarily in a sense of I'm not listening to you, but to call out something very firmly, I think is important in many areas, but also to hopefully have wisdom to be able to hear. And when we're not listening to each other and not saying to anybody else who is disagreeing, clearly you're stupid if you go and do this. You're a non-thinking, non-intelligent person. The majority of people are a lot more moderate in most things that they think or believe about, with shades of right or left or off center, pulling in a certain direction. So if I can look at you, know that you're a human, be able to understand your point of view, maybe we can have a conversation, but it's when we do a lot of this that we have political divisions, that we have the current climate that we have with any discourse, not just politics, not just presidents, prime ministers, whatever. No one's listening anymore. And I'm being challenged on how to figure out how to do that better, because I have strong opinions too, but I want to still listen.
Yeah, exactly. That one thing that just rankles me is when someone takes a complex situation and says, you know what, it's just a matter of blank. No, it's not. It's never just so simple, because anytime there's many people involved, it's not going to be simple. People are complex beings, and you can't.
Sometimes it's Vietnamese and Bangladeshis and Thais and
Thais, yes. Sometimes. A lot of them.
For some reason, I had it in my mind that there was another play on the part of the husband to say, yep, they were all me. I had 100 different wigs, 100 different.
I know, and I was thinking about the guy who pulls up in the front and he and his car and she goes off into the woods, and I was like, well, how come he's not saying that he's that person? I don't get it. But then at the end, you're like the Tarzan thing. I'm all okay. Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Michael, Jen, thank you so much for joining us yet again for another Saturday Scripts Live. Much appreciated. We're going to be changing up the schedule a little bit. If you joined us last week, you maybe noticed that we weren't doing a script, that we did a beautiful improvised Zoom meeting, and it was a blast. And we said this was fun. Let's do this again. So next time, I think the 13th I have it scheduled for. We're going to have another guest improviser join myself, Dan, Sherry, and Sylvie, and we're going to see what other Zoomy hijinks we can get up to. Maybe it'll be a job interview. Someone suggested maybe we're going to court over some HR grievances, because this company is obviously in a very weird position based off the decisions that we made at our board meeting last time. But it'll be fun. Like we just need more improv opportunities out here in this area. So I want to make that possible. But thank you very much for joining us. And we're going to have another wonderful script prepared for reading in June. And I think that'll be like around June 20th. I think the third Saturday of the month we'll have that up and ready. But thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate you both, and keep safe, keep healthy, keep sane out there. Take care.
Sounds
Good
good.
everybody.